Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are taking a look at my dividend portfolio here and looking at how much we made over the last month. Now, as we're recording, you can see our current portfolio value is at $313,498. And usually I get a lot of comments because I do put this as Dividend Dennis, while our dividend income is significantly lower than what most people would be at this dollar amount. I am looking at earning these dividends and getting a nice healthy payout in about 11 years. So ideally what I'm trying to focus on now is actually the dividend increases that are getting through for my dividends that I'm holding. So for me right now, the yield is pretty low, but the intention is that those yields will, I'm like stumbling on my words. Those yields are going to grow, or at worst case, I will sell some of these holdings and purchase more into those higher yields. Now let's go ahead and take a look at and see what we have here for us. I'm going to go ahead and clear this up a little bit as well. And so let's just get our dividends only. Perfect. There we go. All right. So we're going to add up all of our totals for the month of May. We have 3 different companies that paid out this month. You can see it right over here. For the month of May, we have Costco coming in at $18.12. They did pay a special dividend earlier in the year, so just something to keep in mind. So that was really nice. And then we also have Ally, who came in really strong this quarter. You can see paid out a whopping $144.23. And if you're somebody who's looking at that and being like, wow, like triple digits, like that's quite a bit. I always like to really show people this. Our very first dividend in this portfolio was back in March of 2019 for 2 cents with Microsoft. So the first couple of months, I think the first year, most of our dividends were within the cents range, and none of them really got into the dollar range for a while there. And then obviously double digits and now triple digits as well. So just something to keep in mind as you're going through this process and getting started with earning some dividends, whether you're trying to earn at that 3-4% yield, or you're like me, kind of focused long-term on the dividends, not necessarily today. So you can see right over here, we also earned from Apple on the 16th. We got $37.27. Now, all of these, of course, are being reinvested into the portfolio. I'm usually putting them into the companies that are actually performing the least on the actual account as a whole, so they don't get reinvested back into the dividend that paid out, or the company that paid out. So just kind of something to keep in mind there for us as well. Now, before we continue on, let me know in the comment section down below, how much did you earn over the last month in your dividends? Now, did you also reinvest those back into your portfolio to the companies that paid out? Or did you take that money and reinvest it into your lowest performing stocks? Let me know in the comments down below. So I actually have this dividend income tracker that I put together. Let me kind of zoom in on here a little bit as well for us. Now, you might notice that I actually already have June filled out. That's just kind of an estimate. I kind of like to see ahead of time what is getting paid out and how much we're going to have. So that's just currently, just an estimate there for us. Now, if you are interested in getting this dividend tracker, I'll actually have in the show notes down below for you, so you can go ahead and get that for free. You just sign up for my newsletter, and that way you can go ahead and get this. Now, you can see over here, when we add up all of our dividends together, we came out to $199.62 for the month of May for 2024. Now, I do like to do some comparisons, because when I compare to last year, you can see last year we made $130, so it's a nice increase from the year prior. And then I also like to do a comparison of what we did in the similar month last quarter. So you can see here, this is quarter number 2. So if we look at Q1 right over here, or month number 2, I should say. So if we look at the first quarter, which was February, usually the same companies are paying out in the same, time frames. So for that, we were actually making $254.38. So that's actually obviously a decrease. And in part, what we ended up doing was selling out of Texas Instrument. So that was the company that was helping us kind of hit those higher numbers. So we completely sold out of that company, as well as Ross. And both of those companies, we took those proceeds and put them into other companies, most of which were either not already paying dividends, which I'll talk a little bit about in the future, or paying into companies that are paying dividends, but we're typically paying on the opposite months. So you can see there, it was a little bit of a decrease. I'm definitely confident that we're going to get past that 254 here, either in the next couple of quarters or by the next year for sure, by having consistent reinvesting into these companies. I don't try to invest in these companies just solely off of when they pay out the dividend. That's never a healthy way to go about it. So just kind of something to keep in mind there for us as well too. So What I want to do too is scroll down here. So you can see if we ended up with everything that we're estimating to make so far, we're going to be at $1,435 for the year. But again, that's just with the estimate for June. With our May dividend that has come in, I'm just really happy to see that year over year, we had that nice increase. While the similar time frame from last quarter is down, that was only because we sold. I know that if we hadn't sold those two companies, we would definitely have been above where we were that last time. And again, all this money is getting reinvested into those companies in our portfolio that are typically performing, I would say, the worst at that given time. So some of those companies are paying pretty low dividends or not paying dividends at all, but ideally either they're going to increase or they're going to start paying dividends over time. Two examples of that I have in my portfolio now are Google and Meta, both of which are now paying dividends. Obviously, they weren't when we first started purchasing them. So right now, all we have left is Amazon, SoFi, and Airbnb that are not paying dividends. While ideally in the future, that can be a thing, and if that happens, I will ideally have a higher dividend yield. So that way we can actually get paid out a healthy dividend by the time I want it in about 11 years when I'm around 45 years old. If not, I'll sell those and get to a stock or a holding that's around 4, maybe 3.5% yield on my money. Now I want you to keep learning when it comes to investing and your dividends and holdings as well. So I'm going to put a video right up here on screen for you to learn how much $100 a month can actually impact your dividends over the next 30 years.